How do you think
I'm a
men
very
feel?
successful woman, Crystal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so am I. And it's interesting. I was just reading another article written from a man's perspective, and the woman asked him, "How do you think men feel about successful women?" I'd be curious to know what your thoughts on that are.
Well, I think what I've learned when I deal with a lot of men. So I talk to a lot of men all the time, and they don't actually mind successful women. They love it. They love it. What they want
They
is,
say they do, but do they?
well, I'll tell you right now, if a man is in his masculine, okay, like his true masculine,
Right.
then he is in a different place. So those men that are in their masculine, they are actually different than what a lot of women. They're not. They're so in their masculine. They are so content with who they are and where they are. And that's why, Crystal, I'm telling you something. That's why I do this work. This is so important to me because I realize, I tell women, one of the biggest decisions you're ever going to make, honestly, is who you pick to be with for the rest of your life, or who you decide to, stay with, because you know how that overall determines overall your happiness. Because if you're in a relationship with a person, and I tell women, how do you feel in that relationship? So if you're in a relationship and things are not aligned and things are not working out and you don't feel good and you've tried everything, then that's really going to affect your overall, right? But if you're over here and you're with, a man that is just like you are with him, if you're in a relationship that there's an alignment, that there's the kindness, that there's the respect, then everything shifts for us women. And that's what I want people to understand, because I believe that, I always say we're not like here on an island by ourselves. And I'm not just talking about romantic relationships. I'm talking about, us connecting as human beings. It's important. We want great connections.
So we're going back just to that. I'm just wanted to reframe that. When we talked about, does a man want a successful woman? What I'm really hearing you say is, if a man is really comfortable with his own inner power, that he wouldn't be threatened by her sense of power. If anything, he would probably want to help to lift her up and recognize that. So where do we find that guy? Like, where is he? And are you saying basically he won't be there until we're there? Like, where do we find him? Or
I'll tell you how you do that. So,
I mean, I don't need to know. I'm married. I'm good. But how do are these guys everywhere? Like when you say, oh, they're everywhere. Are they?
Everywhere.
They're everywhere?
Actually everywhere, Crystal, everywhere. And this is the deal. So one thing that I also, I like to work with women and like to teach them. I teach them a completely different way of dating, a different way that really helps them go back and get their power back again. Okay, so get their power back again, because really in the end, women are the one that get to choose, right? Like we don't chase the guys. We are able to, go and have fun and meet different people. But eventually you will know that the right man will actually chase you. And then you get to decide, you're the one that gets to decide, do I want him or I don't want him? So this is what I teach. So I take women through this process because I think it's so important, because it's not just, Crystal, it's not just when it comes to our energy. How do we clear that energy? We truly need to also address our past. We need to address our past relationships, address, whatever has been, like I always say, like holding us down, like you talk about, like keeping us stuck. So we address that first. And then once we're able to really address that and really start getting into, the feeling in the body and the attraction, this is what I teach now. It is so awesome. So
Nicole says I'm asking for her right now, Crystal. And Robin says, and hi, Robin. Robin says she's recently separated. Robin, I'm so sorry to hear that, but maybe it's for the best. She said, yeah, the man has to be secure in himself. And you're saying there's a lot of secure men out there. And I think a lot of men, I can't say for a lot of men, I don't mean to say like, I don't know lots of men, but I think I think it's really important to a man that when we do, one of the things I said to my husband, I wish I didn't. I didn't say it, but one of the things I said to him when we first got together, because he was so confident in himself. And, I was just like you. I'd been through a divorce. After that divorce, I was in a 7-year relationship, and it fell apart, and I'll tell the reasons why I think it fell apart was his infidelity. And there are certain things that are just deal breakers, but I saw the signs way back in the beginning, and I chose to think I could be a woman enough so we wouldn't have to, keep being like that sexually with other women. But one of the things when I met Aaron, he was so confident that I was the woman for him rather, and that he was the man for me. And I remember in our third date, he pulled the chair knee to knee, and he said, you might not know this yet, but I'm the man for you. And and you're the woman for me. And I thought that was like, I just laughed. It was like, oh, okay, we'll see about that. And it was
Can I ask you something? Did you like it? Did you like it?
Of course, I loved it.
Yes.
Listen, we were engaged 4 months later, and we were married a year later, and we've just celebrated our 14th year anniversary. So I loved that level of confidence. And why I want to say that is because at the time, he had a good job, he had benefits, blah, 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 blah. And he was very confident in who he was as a man. And yes, here's the interesting thing. Once we got married, we did start building our life together and our business together. And he left that business, and he is truly the wind beneath my wings now, literally with the fan in front of me right here. He made sure no, wouldn't do those things, but I know I saw him running around getting your fan for you. He really stepped into that role. And one of the things I said to him that I laugh now and say, I wish I'd really say that, is I said to him, don't change who you are, because I have the ability, and I don't do it purposefully, but I can change men, and I can squash you without meaning to, and without wanting to, just because I do have a larger than life personality. So, keep doing the things you love that make you feel. So he still goes and plays baseball once a week with the guys. He plays hockey in the winter he does those things that, even though our life is so enmeshed now, we do everything together. The kids have left home now. And so we're really like the best of friends, but it is really important for him to still have those things about him that he feels confident in, that masculine that allows me to be the primary breadwinner. And it doesn't, people will say, doesn't that emasculate him? And I'm like, he has an incredible life. We have an incredible life. But what I'm really hearing you say is, you as the woman, you have to get yourself into that place.
Yes.
And so I know I asked you to give me some questions before we went live, and I'm asking you questions that you didn't give me. So
ask me whatever you want. I got you. I'm good.
Well, if you could because we're I just can't believe how fast time flies. But if you could, off the top of your head, before we get into we've already gotten into where are all the great men, and you say they're everywhere, but what are the things we can do as a woman to get ourselves balanced in our own energy so that we are able to show up as that great woman